Hello everyone, Boyd here with you and welcome back to TrekWorks. Well, we've got a fun episode for you guys today. You can see that we've got on the bench this Moebius B-9 robot kit from the classic television show Lost in Space. This is the brand new 1/6 scale kit that just came out fairly recently, and we're working on this today. We're actually installing, building the model and installing the new lighting kit, which is available from Tenacontrols. And we've been doing some work on this, and we wanted to show you guys how we're assembling this and how it's going together. We're going to give you a look at the control board and talk to you about some of the techniques that we're using to assemble this model and get the control board installed properly. You can see we've got some parts going together here. We've done some painting on the lower section. We've got his lower half pretty much finished up here and put together, and we're working on the torso section right now where most of the lighting is done. We've got a little bit more that we'll be working on up on the top section, what's called the brain section of the model. But we'll show you what we've been doing so far. I'll turn the power supply on here, and you can see that we've got our lighting effect going on there in the front, which I think Ralph with his control board here has captured the exact look of the robot that we saw in Lost in Space, with its twinkling lights going on here, kind of lighting at random, and the two wigwags there above in white. Now we can see here that what also is included with the control board is this nice soundboard, and we've got several of the robots saying some of his dialogue from the show. So what I'm going to do is play a couple of these for you here. We activate this by activating this momentary switch, and I believe when the kit goes into production, the lighting kit, Ralph is going to be offering this with a magnetic switch so that you can install it inside the model and simply wave the magnet over the model when you want to cycle through the various phrases. But here we go, we'll show you a couple of these.
Danger, danger, Will Robinson. There is a dangerous alien among us. Did you ring Dr. Smith? Does not compute. This project is extremely dangerous. The plan directive forbids me to harm human beings.
And as you can see, it comes through nice and loud and clear, and the chest plate lights up to match the dialogue there, so this is really cool. And there are several more sayings on here. I won't go through them all, but there's quite a few. So what we're doing right now is we just finished installing all of our lighting in here. Ralph gives you these LEDs, which are the exact right scale for this model that you'll get in this kit. All these different colors here, and there's clear instructions on how to wire those up. You'll see that the kit piece here includes this clear part here and this lower half here, so you're basically going to remove the lower section there and use the LEDs in place. This is a clear part that's all been painted with our different Tamiya colors according to the instructions on the colors that they were supposed to be. And we're going to shut this down here real quick, and I'm going to lift the lid off here and show you what we've done on the inside. You can see that on the bottom here we've got this clear screen that goes in. Now, in order to diffuse this, I use some of this plastic milk jug material here, this white opaque milk jug material, which you guys have heard me talking about before. It works really well to diffuse our light. You can see I've glued a little piece of that on the bottom. I've done the same thing here on the back side of the lower half of the lens. You can see that included in the kit, Ralph gives you this little 3-element piece of red LED strip, which you'll mount here or at a location fairly close to that area, which will do your lighting for the chest plate. Our control board is sitting down in there, and we've got a wire harness that will pass up through the top here with various connectors that will connect up to the brain section of the model, which will give this sort of random twinkling lighting effect similar to what you see on the chest plate there. Then we have the lower half of the wire harness that runs down through and down into the model. We're going to mount the soundboard and the speaker in the foot section here, which you can see. We have plenty of room in the model to mount that. I'll be mounting a 9-volt battery on one side and the control board and the speaker on the other side there. There are a couple of plates that go over the top of that when you finish building it. So we're working this up all the way through here. What I'm working on right now is I've got to drill a couple holes here in the bottom. This is the lower half of his torso here that mounts on. And we've got to drill a couple of holes here and set this up so that it'll be able to pivot and pass our wiring down through into the bottom of the model from the control board, which will sit inside the torso. So we'll come back, we'll do a little bit more work on that, and we'll show you the process that we're using to get all this hooked up and wired up here, guys, so we'll be back with that in just a couple of seconds. Alright, so here we are having a look at how we did the lighting on the upper brain section of the B-9 robot model. And we're using our Tenacontrols lighting kit on this one, of course. And you can see that what I've done here is we've got these SMDs that we installed in the hub area here, which is just below the triangle-shaped brain area in the top part of the clear dome of the model. And we've got these 7 sort of spokes, if you want to call them that, or legs that stick out away from the hub. And these little orbs here on the end are supposed to be lit in amber. And so we wanted to get some lighting to those, and we wanted to have kind of a random flashing effect. Now there's a couple of different ways you could go about this. You could use fiber optics. You could do a couple of different things, but we wanted to use the original kit supplied parts because they have this nice little detail on here. So basically what we did to achieve the lighting in this is we've got these little 0805 SMDs that I get from my friend Jerry at HDA Model Works. You can contact Jerry there at www.hdamodelworks.com. But these SMDs will be supplied with your Tenacontrols lighting kit for this model. But basically what I did here is I glued 4 of these together, and I created sort of a semicircle, just gluing them back to back, and had them, if you were looking at it from above, you'd see like a kind of a half circle with the lights shining out at various angles like that. And I placed those inside the hub here, facing towards the spokes. And then once I got those in place, I just filled the void there with some canopy, not canopy glue, but CA glue, and hit it really quick with some zip kicker. And so we've got the lights mounted in. We've got sort of a seal around the whole thing now inside. We've also left a little gap so that we can pass our additional wires here through this hub and up into the brain section here. And you can see that I've got 4 SMDs just glued on their sides, facing at various angles inside this. And this will all get painted. And when this is lit, we're going to have some random flashing effects going on in here. We're going to paint this whole thing, and then we're just going to use a small, tiny little pin to scrape the paint off of these little sort of hieroglyphic-looking designs that are on the front edges of this part. And we'll have some nice random lighting and flashing effects going on in there. Once we finish painting this part and sealing the seams and everything on it, we'll lower it down and glue it to the top of this hub here. I'll probably put a little dab of black silicone in that first to seal it so that the light from this doesn't leak up into the brain, and vice versa. And same thing on the bottom here. This bottom part fits into the inside of the lower half of the dome, the clear dome, and then of course the top half of the dome gets glued over top of that, so you have this whole assembly which will be sealed. And then it extends down through this hub here, which is on top of the upper torso of the robot. And what we did here is we just slightly enlarged this hole here a little bit to allow all of our wiring to pass through that. So you'll see that we can get this whole wiring bundle through there very easily now. And this will of course extend down into the model and connect to the control board that we're going to be mounting in there, and all these wires will connect to your various terminals that you'll see clearly illustrated in Ralph's directions for wiring this up. So that's just a quick brief explanation of how we set this up. And so we'll have some random flashing spokes going on here, and we'll have some random flashing going on inside the brain here, because basically Ralph's control board is just a sequencer board here that's just randomly lighting these. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on really quick here for you so you can see that looking at these spokes, we see that we've got the tips which are lit really nicely in amber. And again, you don't want these to be overly bright. In the original B-9 robot that we saw in Lost in Space, these were not super brightly lit, just viewable like they are right there and nicely in scale. And then of course we'll have some nice random lighting going on here, and these right now are just all wired to one power source, so they're constantly on. But once I connect these to the board, they're going to be flashing kind of at random in different spots, just like the the real robot did on the television show. So that's how we worked that out, guys. We just thought we'd share that with you here a little bit. I'm going to continue working on this now, and I'm going to paint the upper half here sort of a medium silver color, and then we're going to get that glued down onto the top of the hub here and all sealed up, and have it ready to mount onto the rest of the model here. So we'll be back with that in just a couple seconds. Okay everybody, we're back with you again, and you can see we're making some more progress on our B-9 here, and I'm just going to explain a little bit about what we've been doing. You can see we've got the lower half all assembled. We've got his torso area installed here now, and I'm going to tip him here up a little bit so you guys can see. I don't have him glued down here all the way on the top yet, and his lid's open here, so I wanted to show you guys what I've got going on in here. We've got the board installed, we've got all of our wiring. We're bringing up the wiring that's going to be going into the brain area here, that's going to connect to our SMDs. And then what we've got on the bottom side here is, you can see we've mounted our circuit board inside there along with the speaker. And over on this side here, we're going to be mounting a battery, 9-volt battery with a clip, and then we'll have a little tab that'll hold the battery in place in there. And then there's these little panels that go on the bottom. So that'll be nice. The robot will be nice and self-contained. It'll be self-powered. But we've run our wires up through the middle here. We've got everything connected here in the front. Just soldered up all the SMD or the LEDs there, and we've got the little light strip here at the top. You can see that we use the milk jug material there on the top and the bottom of our chest plate here to get the diffusion for the lighting. I'm going to go ahead and get this tacked back down here for you and just give you a little quick demo. And again, I don't have everything glued in place yet, but one thing I'm going to point out here too, I'll spin them around, and you can see I made a little push button here on the back for his voice activation. There's a momentary switch that's just been glued to the inside wall. Maybe I can lift the lid off here and show you guys that. You can see it down in there. And in order to do that, it was really simple. I didn't want the big switch sticking out of the back, so I just cut off a piece of sprue and cut it fairly short, and then I used my solder gun to mushroom one end of it, put it inside the hole from the inside with the mushroom part on the inside, and then glued the momentary switch over the top of it. So now that when you push that, it just activates the switch. So it worked out really simple, and we kept that little switch on the back nice and small. So let me go ahead and push the switch here a couple times for you, and you guys can hear it.
Did you ring Dr. Smith? Does not compute. This project is extremely dangerous.
You can see we're getting
The plan directive forbids me to harm human beings.
good sound coming out of it.
I am sorry. I compute you well.
Got quite a few different sayings on this one. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be gluing all this down and getting this all secured, and then we're going to connect up all this wiring here so that we do all those kind of multi-functioning lighting there in the brain section up on the top here. And you can see we've got all of our spokes. He's got like these little spokes that go around the edges, and we've got all that glued together. We've got the lid glued down, and we're ready to install that. So we've just got a couple of pieces here to go, and then some little detail parts, the little hooks that go on the top of his body here, a couple little detail parts here, and then his arms, of course, which I've decided to build these in the retracted position. That's the way we saw them most of the time on the show. So she's coming together really good, and I can't say enough how much I like the front panel on this model too. I think that the lighting sequence and the effects that Ralph has on this from the Tenacontrols board are just spot on. And I think it's one of the nicest ones that I've seen out there out of all the kits, lighting kits that are out there so far, so it really looks good. Okay guys, we'll come back and we're going to show you, we're going to be working on the soldering here, so I'll get the camera set up on a tripod here. We'll get that going and we'll show you the final steps on that and get everything locked down here, so we'll be back with that in just a second, everybody. Okay, here we are back with some more of our B-9 robot build. We've been working a little bit longer on them now, and you can see we've got the top half put together. We've got the dome mounted on the top and the brain function working in there. You can see that we've got all the nice random lighting going on in that. It turned out really nice. We've got his little spokes lighting up too underneath of that that are lighting at random. And we just had 4 SMDs that are mounted in random spots inside of the triangle-shaped brain here, and then we put 4 SMDs in the stalk the actual hub there where the 7 spokes go into this. When you get your kit, you'll see what I mean. And we just faced them in a sort of a forward semicircle glued together, and they're firing at random and lighting the spokes, and it turned out really good. You can see we've got our chest plate lighting here working really nice. That's probably my favorite part of this. I really love that effect there, and it's just spot on. It looks really nice and in scale and everything. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the overhead light here for you so you can see the brain function, and our if I can get it just right, you can see the spokes underneath there lighting up. And so I'm really happy with how this turned out, and we're just going to let this dry overnight now. We use canopy glue on all these clear parts, and it takes a little while to set up. So we'll let this dry overnight, and we'll come back and finish up the rest of this video tomorrow. You can see I've started to work on his arms. As I mentioned, I've wanted to mount those in the retracted position. That's pretty much how I remembered seeing it on the show most of the time. And then we've got to install our switch here on the bottom and our battery harness, and then install the covers on the bottom, and we'll be finished up with that. You can see we've got them set up here so where his upper half can swivel, which is really neat. And I'll go ahead and hit a couple of the voices here. I believe there's 14 different voice dialogue quotes or sayings that the robot has here that Ralph's programmed in, and they come through nice and clear, so I'll go ahead and hit these for you. So it's really cool, and this is a fantastic kit, guys. If you're a fan of the B-9 robot, he's a little, just about a foot tall, maybe about 13 inches tall, so it's a nice size, and the kit goes together really well. I had a little bit of trouble here at the where the lower half of the torso connects onto this, and it just took a little bit of work with my hobby knife, scraping away a little bit of the excess plastic in there, and then I got it to sit down there nice and tight. But otherwise, really well designed kit. It fits together really nice, and it's a really nice tribute to the B-9. It looks exactly like him when you're done. I said we've got a few little details to do here. We've got to put the hooks on the top of the torso, his power pack on the side, which is a really detailed piece. They even give you an exact painting guide for that, so you can paint all the little circuits on it like it should. And we've got a couple little buttons that gonna go on the front here, and then of course his claws, which we do in red. So, but it's almost done, and I'm really happy with it, like I said. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. We'll come back with the final segment of the video here, and we'll show you it all finished up, but it's turning out really good. So we'll be back with that in just a couple seconds, everybody. Alright, my friends, well, we're back with you once more, and you can see this is the finale of our B-9 robot build. Everything turned out really well on it. I'll give this kit a 10 out of 10, guys, for fun factor. It was just a really fun kit to work on. Combined with Ralph's lighting board, it's a really nice little model when you're done with it, and it looks really spot on to the original robot. And come on, let's face it, guys, we all wanted to have one of these when we were kids, especially with all the lighting and the voice phrases that the robot makes that Ralph has captured on this. I mean, it's just really cool. So we'll talk a little bit about what we finished up here. You can see we got the ears mounted on. One quick note on that, guys, I wanted to tell you that the instructions have you putting these on opposite of what they should be. You can see here that we have the upper ear, which is supposed to be painted red, the one that faces upright, on his right side, and the vertical laying ear, which is done in yellow, on his left side. If you look at the box art, that's how it shows it. And if you look at the robot from the actual television show, which I was using some clips of that that I could find on YouTube to do my paint referencing and everything, my colors, you could see that that's how it was supposed to be, but they have you doing the opposite with the instructions, so you might want to be reminded of that. And I've already been asked about the flexible pants, if you want to call them, on the robot here. These parts come molded in sort of a shiny vinyl type material, and it's actually really transparent too, so if you hold it up to the light you can see through it. And so I noticed that some people were already having some trouble painting these and having issues with the paint sticking and things like that. So other than it being too shiny, I thought that the color looked really good, or really close to the way it should. And so I wound up just spraying some of my adhesion promoter on them first, and that took them down to kind of a semi-gloss finish. And then I sprayed on some Tester's dull coat over that, and that took it down to a kind of a dull, you know, it looks a lot more like dull rubber, like it should, and the color is spot on. So what I did have to do is I used a piece of sheet styrene inside the torso here so that my lighting from the chest and everything, and then when he lights up here in red, that it didn't shine through this stuff in low light and have a big old light leak, because that's how thin it is. But that worked. We don't have any light leaks there. You can see some more detail here. We did the hooks on his upper body here. We did the detail on his power pack. It's supposed to look like a old-fashioned printed circuit board with the exposed components and everything, which I always thought was almost hilarious about that, you know, the robot, how vulnerable he is, that anybody that knows about that can just walk up and pluck that thing off him and he's as dead as a doornail. So they had it as an opportunity for Dr. Smith to shut him down whenever he wanted to, so that was probably the reason they had it like that. But again, talking about the model, you know, the whole package here with the model was a blast to build, and then adding along with Ralph's lighting kit for this from Tenacontrols, it's just beautiful. I really like what he did here with the using the real scale LEDs to make this work instead of fiber optics. It just looks so much crisper and more clean, and the lighting is really spot on to the way it looked in the television show with the way it switches like that, and the colors that are here, and the effect here of these two whites. You know, they don't just flash at a steady back and forth like a wigwag. He's got different patterns that go on in this, just like it did on the show. And again, really, really cool. One last thing I didn't do on this, guys, is I didn't put the 9-volt battery in it, because I'm going to actually have my friend Jerry at HDA Model Works make me up a little display for this. Jerry had an excellent idea, and I want to have one made for this robot. We'll show you that and how it turns out. I'll have to assemble it after I get it from Jerry. In a couple of weeks we'll have it on there, and I may decide to put a power supply in that and power the robot that way, or I may still wind up going with a battery, but I wanted to leave myself that option. But you guys will see the finish on that. Here you can see we have the I'll mention this too, that we have the claws on here, and these are movable the way they have the kit set up, but I just glued mine in place. I don't plan on moving them around too much or anything like that. And as I mentioned, we were going to do the arms in the retracted position, and we did all the putty work, you know, real nice on his upper half and everything here. But down here we didn't do these. You know, I just wanted to have fun with this model, and these almost look like they could be there anyway. And so you see a little mold line on his pants here, but trying to fix that is just really would really be labor intensive on something like that. And chances are it might not stick on there very well if you use putty or epoxy or whatever you might want to use, or even some silicone to try to fill that. But anyway, it still looks really cool, and we're really happy with it. Again, I highly recommend it if you're a B-9 fan. We'll close out here by just doing a couple of our sounds, and I really like this part of it as well.
The robot does not live by programming alone. Some culture is required to keep my teams in balance. That does not compute. Danger, danger, Will Robinson.
You can see that Ralph's got all of his iconic sayings on there. Altogether, there's about 14 or 15 of them. The sound comes through really clear. The chest lights up really nice. It stays in sync. It's perfectly synced with the voice emulator. So this is just really, really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We had a lot of fun, and I hope it'll help you if you want to build one of yours out there. And again, like always, if you guys are building one and you want to ask us a question about it, we'll be happy to answer it for you. And Ralph, I'm sure as well, about his light board if you want to get one of these for this. So it was a lot of fun. We're going to be back to our regularly scheduled program, guys. We're getting into the fall. It's a lot cooler in the shop here for us, and we're going to be back and being really busy with videos coming a lot more often, and a lot of different subjects here. As I mentioned, we're going to be working on our, you'll see some updates now on our 1537 scale Reliant that we're doing. We're going to be breaking out the big De Boers Reliant, which is really exciting. The next couple of videos you'll see work resume on that. And then of course we're doing that 2500 scale Battlestar Galactica from BSG 75, the new television series, and that one's from Badass Models, and that's a fantastic kit. Doing some nice lighting on that, and some custom battle damage with a board from Ralph that we're using that you guys will get to see. So a lot of cool stuff coming, guys. All right, take care out there, everybody. Enjoy your model building, and until you do, we'll see you next time, everybody. Take care.